district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offers the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasyland? Welcome to Week 5, Thursday Tailgate in the GOAT District. And we have a special one tonight. Dan, unfortunately, is not here with us. The overhyped sleeper, no E on the end. Probably better for me as a Jays fan too. His Twins just swept the Jays in the first round of the playoffs. So, let's get into football. But while Dan's away, we thought we'd play, and we thought we'd change up the tonight's show a bit. We're going to dive deeper into the Thursday night game. The past tailgates, as you guys know, was really about player news and injuries going into the weekend. But we want to help you guys, enjoy the Thursday night game and maybe win a bit of cash. So we brought in a professional. He's the Snowman. Some of you actually know the Harry Snowman. You see him in the chat a lot of times in our shows, some other player profiler shows, and some other high stakes fantasy related shows. He's a man that plays in the FFPC streets. Full disclosure, him and I own a couple Fantasy Pros teams together. And in our discussions, I realized, this guy's got something interesting to offer. I think that our audience would really benefit from. And we're going to try it out tonight. The Snowman, welcome to the district, brother. Your first official appearance. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm honored. Love the show. Love you guys, man. So impressed with everything you've done. Really has reignited the fire for this game. So I appreciate you having me here and love to share.
Yeah, this will be fun. Like I said, I like bringing on, and Dan and I have done this for years now. We're season 7 that, we're in the district, and we always like bringing in guests that look at the game, especially look at the game a bit differently than we do. And I feel like you do that. You look at things that, especially even coming into the season when we were drafting teams, I feel like we complemented each other well, and Dan and I are the same in our cone teams because of the different information that each of us is looking at. When you combine it, it makes a pretty powerful thing. So tonight, I mean, some people are saying not the greatest matchup. That's for sure. You've got two teams that haven't had the best starts to the season, not the most firepower, but nonetheless, it's football. There are lines involved. There are prop bets involved, Snowman. And I know you've got a lot of data that you've kind of collected. You analyze these games in great depth. Like, we'll start off macro, but you get to the nitty gritty. Like, you're looking at who's covering wide receiver 3, who's in the slot, which position should do well, not do well, at what level. So we're going to get into all of that. And then we're going to finish it off by who you think are the big plays in tonight's game and who we should really be cautious about in fantasy. And maybe you turn those into prop bets if you're into that. This is not financial advice in any way. But Snowman, let's get into it. We've got the Bears, the Commanders. It's in Washington. Washington right now is favored by 6 points. The over-under is at 45.5. Why don't you start it off with the Bears? Give us a bit of information where they sit after 4 weeks of this NFL season and historically.
All right. All right. So first of all, Bears coming into this game, right? You want to look at this one game, and this is kind of the approach that I would go with is you're looking at both teams. First, you want to look at the Bears. just coming off a real heartbreaking loss, right? 2 touchdowns going up into the fourth quarter, allow the Broncos to drive down, score a touchdown, fumble the ball, touchdown on the fumble. Oh my gosh, right? Collapse.
Worst case scenario. It was hard to watch, actually.
Oh, I can't imagine. Short week coming into a Thursday game. All right. Just not a lot of time to really get your head together. Maybe got the offensive line Jenkins coming back, but now you're coming off of that and you're going against probably the best defensive line in football right now. I mean, you're talking about first round picks all the way across, and the Bears offensive line is a mess. So, yeah, the Bears, although I will say this, you got Justin Fields coming off best game of his, season, 80% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, so he's coming in hot, but the rest of the team not.
So Chicago right now, 22nd in the league, points per game after the 4 weeks, at 18.8. And they are, according to DraftKings, I think it was 19.5 that they were at, the Bears points. Do you like that? Do you think that's about right? Where they've got them based on the 18.8 that I gave you there?
19 points coming into against the Commanders this game. 45 points.
Tough for them to get there. I think it might be.
I think it's gonna be tough for them to get there. I mean, they're not going to run on this team, and aside from a couple of places, I mean, we'll talk about it. I mean, thinking 13 closer.
Yeah. I that's kind of how I have it, and even the over under, you can definitely hit the under. And I mean, look, we've looked at one team. Let's get more into it. Maybe we're jumping ahead of ourselves by jumping your good data. So Snowman, let's get back to it. Let's go look at the other side of the ball. Let's look at the Commanders coming in or at home to the Bears. How do you see the Commanders right now? What's like our year to date, I guess you could say, in the business world?
Well, underrated. All right, coming in off games against the Bills, Eagles, right? Eagles, they just came in, probably the best game they've played as a team for the whole year. Tied the game to send it to overtime. Didn't make it score on that first drive. Allowed Eagles to kick a field goal, win the game. But you got to think they're feeling good about themselves right now. They just went toe-to-toe with the NFC champs. Yeah, they lost by a field goal in overtime, but, now it's time to clean up, take care of business at home. And, they could have gone for 2. Maybe those questions are in their head, ended the game right there and taken it. But, short week, they're on to business. I got a feeling they're ready for Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking at their points per game so far. Like you said, I mention this often on our show just because I feel like people kind of not that they ignore, but just have a short memory when it comes to like who did that player play against. And I feel like that, especially you see a team play whoever first, Buffalo, the Jets, and like San Fran or something like that, or New Orleans, or Tampa Bay, like a decent defense, and somebody has a bad game, and people are so quick to just disregard, that guy for the rest of the season, when it's, you got to look at who they're playing, man, on that field. And I think you bring up a valid point for both these teams. Now, Commanders, like I said, 17th in the league point per game. So they're at 22.3. So on paper, they're definitely scoring more points, not much, but you got to think you got 3 points difference. And this is probably where the line comes from, if you're putting it simply. 3 points at home for Washington, which is usually 2 to 3 is what you give the home team, depending on where that is. And then another 3 in the point difference. So that kind of justifies that 6 point difference. Am I right there?
Exactly right. Although, I might slant it a little bit more, right? I might run that line.
You can tease it. you can definitely tease it, as we say in the betting streets. So let's look at these two teams together historically. The Bears, Washington. What do you have for us?
All right. As a Bears fan, yeah, it sucks to say it, but the Redskins own the Bears, right? When it counts, when it's not a letdown, and we can talk about the historical. Like, the Redskins have bullied the Bears, right? I mean, they come into Soldier Field, win consistently there. Right now, Bears coming into this game 0-4 straight up, right? 0-3-1 against the spread. Overall, in this series, Washington's 8-2 straight up against the spread. 8-2. Last 16, 12-4 against the spread.
I couldn't believe when you told me that. Wow.
All right. This is historically, Washington does kind of have the Bears number for whatever the reason. And a lot of these games have come in under, but it's mixed bag with the under. The last 19 games for Washington, it's been 13-6 under, right? But these games have gone over. The Bears Washington game 6-4 over. So, but I don't think this one's going to be close. I really don't. I think Washington's just going to, it's too short a period of time. That offensive line still has bruises from last week, and Washington's going to be at home, ticked off. I think they're going to serve them up. But we could talk about how. Let's talk about how what's going to hit. Where are the weak spots do you think are going to give in each of these defenses?
All right, do it.
All right.
Do it. Well, get into the weeds.
Get into the weeds. All right. So if you're looking at game script, assuming that we're saying Washington's going to cover 6 points, right? So they're going to win by more than a touchdown. That means that more than likely, if Bears are scoring 13, what's that mean? And we're on the other side of the spread, 45 points, right? Somewhere in the 20s, right? Okay. Mismatches on the defense, first of all. Terry McLaurin against Tyreek Stevenson, right? That's a huge mismatch. Against the number one wide receiver, Bears are 26th in the league in the statistics that we're working with, all right? Worse than that, 32nd in the league, running backs coming out of the backfield for the Bears. This is a game I'm pretty sure for Brian Robinson to beat up on the Bears. Running the ball, catching the ball. I really don't think that there's much reason for the Redskins to do much more than that, aside from hit some Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson has an advantage on his matchup, so I imagine you'll see some of him out there. When you look on the other side of the field,
hold on. Let's start with.
All right.
Let's sit in Washington a bit here. I'm looking at the DraftKings lines right now. So Brian Robinson at 64.5, over under.
Mm-hmm. Total yards or rushing yards?
Total rushing yards.
Total rushing yards.
Good question. Yes.
Okay. Rushing yards. Rushing yards, surprisingly, there's less. The Bears actually take away a little bit from the average. Do you know what Brian Robbins' average rushing yards are?
I can tell you that in about 2.9 seconds.
Okay.
All right. So you were asking for his?
Well, the team, but Brian Robinson specifically, since it's going to be specific to him.
So his yards per carry,
per game,
sorry, is 66.1 is his average. Like the last 2 years. This year it's 65.3.
Wow. And what's the number? Is it 62?
Yeah, that's so like dead on. It's unbelievable.
It's exactly 5% off.
What was your question? Sorry.
It should be based on what I'm looking at. You're talking about a yard or two difference under, so it's like right there on the line of where the line was but the rushing should be a little bit under. Is there a total though on his total yards out of the backfield, including his receiving yards?
Including his receiving, yeah.
Because that's going to be an over almost for sure.
So total yards. Trying to see if they have it. No, they've got receiving. Well, let me look at his receiving yards.
Okay.
Here we go. So receiving yards for Brian Robinson is 6.5.
6.5 yards?
Yeah. So smash the over.
6.5 yards.
Oh,
How
right.
many yards does he normally get? Like 2? Does he not catch the ball ever?
Yeah, well, you got to think, right? Because Gibby and like he's not necessarily this year he seems like he's the dude, but let me just look right now. 2023 receiving. So wow, this thing is really hard to read. Receptions per game is actually 1.3.
Okay, so he's not getting the ball out of the backfield. Who gets the ball out of the backfield? That's going to be Gibby.
Gibby, yeah. There you go.
Is it possibly that? How many times is it? This could be a Gibby game. Are we actually looking at a Gibby game?
It's funny how they don't have a Gibby receiving yards, but they have rushing yards, which is 18.
Because that's the biggest mismatch.
Oh no, they do. I take it back. Receiving yards for Gibby is 13.5.
It should be an over. If he catches 1, he should go over that.
There you go.
All right.
Well, McLaurin, we said what, 59.5. We said it's pretty much right there. Maybe you go.
No. What was McLaurin's average, and what was the number for McLaurin?
Hold on, I had that.
I thought that was the running back out of the backfield.
Yeah. So McLaurin, his average this year. 65.4.
Okay.
No. That's wrong. I apologize. Hold on one sec. It's actually 53.
Okay. And where's the number?
It was at, hold on. Am I in receiving? Here we go. Receiving. So McLaurin receiving yards.
66.
59.6.
Okay, I'm looking at 66. So I'm looking at over. That's about 7 yards over.
Nice. All right, so that's kind of narrowing it down with the Commanders. Why don't we look at the other side of the ball with Chicago? Any spots we want to know about, or is it mostly caution that we need to attribute to this offense?
Well, there's definitely some spots to avoid. Cole Kmet, last week I played him. This week I sit him.
Yeah, and like you called that early in the week. You told me about the Kmet week coming. You nailed it really well.
Thank you.
Thoughts on that even on Tuesday. Then I reminded you that you sat someone else, but that's
God.
You won't mention that. Hey, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
Okay. So the Bears. We're sitting Kmet. Sitting St. Brown, if you were ever going to play him. We want to maybe play DJ Moore. We were talking about this. It really depends on who Forbes is playing. If Forbes is playing DJ Moore where we think he's going to be playing, then DJ Moore is going to have an advantage in that spot, and a significant advantage. And, if not, then, it's going to be the slot, and that would be Mooney. But we're thinking DJ Moore, and if so, then I can apply the math to the lines and the average, and we could figure it out.
So DJ Moore right now, yards per game is 75.3.
Okay.
Which is that's actually really high. That
seems really high, doesn't it?
Yeah, like he had a couple of years better than that. His second and third year in Carolina, but that's his best in his last 3 years. It's definitely his best, his highest. He's been in the 50s and the 60s. So let's look at his line right now. DJ Moore's at 52.5 is the over/under.
And
so you got to think they're chasing, right? They got to be throwing the ball.
Wait. I just wanted to 75 either way. All right, 75 yards average.
Either way you go over, right?
And 52. He's already averaging 20 something yards more. either matchup, whether he ends up with St. Just or Forbes, right? If he's with Forbes, I'm looking at plus 40. And what was the average again? 75? That makes it easy. Almost 125 yards. So blowing that away. And then if he's on the other one, it's still like 90 something, you know. So either way, between 90 and 125 yards, and they're saying 50, something's wrong there. Unless they just think that that defensive line is just going to destroy the Bears quarterback and not give him time to throw. But I don't think so. I mean, that's the math. If they're throwing and it's throwing to DJ Moore and they're lined up, that's the math. If he's averaging 75, 92.
And that's why we're doing this, right? Snowman, is we want to find those, it's kind of like early, you know, when you're in the off season drafting, you've got your own rankings or the rankings you like, and then you've got the ADP. You find the gaps, right? Those are the guys you're targeting or not targeting. And It's kind of the same thing here. You're trying to find the gaps. And that's what we're doing. And this is great info. I was trying to pull up one of the lines, but anyways, keep going.
All right.
With
Washington. With the Bears, yeah. with the Washington defense and the Bears offense, you know, we're avoiding St. Brown. That's a mismatch. Cole Kmet's a mismatch against. They're gonna stop the Bears run. You know, the Bears are not going to be able to run on Washington. So you could begin with that premise. The Bears they should not be able to run on Washington. And from there, that means he's either dropping back Fields or he's running the ball. And if he's dropping back with that front four, they're in trouble. I don't know where the discrepancy is. I don't know where they have the total offense going, but that's the mismatch is going to be DJ Moore or whoever, you know, we have Emmanuel Forbes with.
With Mooney now, obviously Claypool's gone, sent home. So does Mooney, I mean, they've got Mooney at 31.5. His average this year, I just had is 26 yards per game. Previously, though, 41 last year, 62 the year prior. I know this year has been a bit limited. Not necessarily limited, just more mouth to feed. I hate to use that line, but that's, you know, that was the case. Now with less and maybe him getting a more significant role, do you think, or not necessarily? You think it's still the same, still one guy receiving, sometimes Kmet, and then Fields running the ball? Yeah.
Fields running for his life, occasionally seeing someone breaking open. Whether that be, you know, generally going to be DJ Moore because he's better, and occasionally, you know, Mooney will slip out. But yeah, I feel bad. And in Fields' defense, all I've heard about is Fields this, Fields that. Everybody knew the offensive line was in shambles and injured coming into the season. Everybody knew that defensive line couldn't, you know, catch a cold. All right.
Which is one of the reasons we like Roshan, to be honest, because of his protection, right? Like he came in as a rookie that did offer protection of some sorts at the offensive line. So we kind of like the idea of him being on the field, you know, and maybe taking some of that volume from Herbert. But Herbert seems to be the guy after last game.
And not to be cold about it, but a lot of times rookies come on late. Because when you don't have an offensive line to protect your starting running back, he takes a lot of hits. And by the time you get through, you know, round 10, round 11 of 11, you know, 200-pound plus men running into you at full speed, trying to knock you out, it gets to be a lot. And a lot of times they'll miss time. And, you know, I hate to say it, you know, Herbert looks really good, but, you know, he's taking a beating. And sooner or later you're gonna, you know, I mean, everybody's human. So,
well, you need a reason to get back up, and I mean that reason just gets probably harder and harder when you just keep getting beaten in every way. The scores, physically, mentally, you know, by the media. Like he takes it from every direction when you think about it.
Yeah, and the Bears have lost now 10 in a row. This will be, you know, going on number 11. and going back to last season. I mean, that's just, it's hard, and it's hard when you're coming off a short week, losing the way they did. They were up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. There was no reason to lose that game, and you just have to know those players are still hurting. I mean, it has to hurt. That was 10 in a row. So yeah. Well, I don't think this one's going to be close. I think that it's going to be real hard for Chicago to get up for this game so quickly, and we'll see.
All right. Before we get to your big game players, your cautious guys, and probably like what we need to figure out the most with regards to and you touched a bit on it with coverages and so on. You actually recently did well in one of these FFPC weekly challenges. Our friends at the FFPC, the reason we're still going after 7 seasons, they've been big supporters of us. Our favorite place to play, guys like you and I meet on there. Dan and I met through FFPC, Theo, Andrew, all the guys, the 1st and 15th guys. Just a great place to play and test out your skills in fantasy. And they've got a weekly challenge right now. You've got a 35 buy-in, a 200 buy-in. You can win up to 2,500. I don't know. You want to add anything, Snowman? Like I said, you did pretty good on one of these things, I think last week, no?
Yeah, not last week, but the week before I won one. Yeah. It's just, yeah, you know what? I like it. I like the different games they offer. If I was to, you're going to get paid quickly. More important though, if I was to give anybody advice going in, I would say, make sure you know the rules. Read the rules. All right. There's lots of little wrinkles, and you got to know the wrinkles to have the strategy to play these games well, or else be lucky, but better lucky than good. So
Agreed. No, check them out, guys. myffpc.com. We talk about it every show. Again, it's not just because they're our partners. We partnered up with them for a reason. We believe in them. Most of my fantasy football portfolio is on the FFPC. I trust them the most. That's where I'm willing to put most of my money. And you see it now. You've got the weekly challenge, which is another reason. If you're not already on the site, use the code GOAT when you go to myffpc.com and get your sign up bonus to your first deposit. Sorry, you get a sign up bonus. So why don't we put a cap on this? And then I've got a little suggestion. I don't know if you're down. Why don't we put a cap? We'll look at your big plays, your cautious plays, and then why don't you and I put a little prop parlay together, a little fun something, and we can kind of keep track on those and see if they're winners or losers or not.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right, let's do it. So who? And I think anyone listening knows by your. But let's spell it out for them. Who do you think tonight? That you have to have in your starting lineup. Who's having a big game tonight?
Oh, McLaurin. But if I had to pick one player, Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Brian Robinson should have a big game.
So Brian Robinson, we talked about the overs.
Oh, wait, no, because he's not. We just talked about this. He's not getting the receptions. I was thinking he would. Oh, tough.
Yeah, because he was averaging 1.5, right?
Right. Terry McLaurin then.
So do we see a Gibby resurrection? Is that possible? This zombie?
That's what. Look, what I'll say is this: it's going to be a running back out of the backfield. Okay, I don't know if it's Robinson or Gibby. I mean, Gibby's going to have more opportunity, but maybe Robinson takes one to the house. I don't know, but that kind of gives you the breakdown. It's the running back out of the backfield. I just don't know which one.
Okay. All right, maybe we'll get back to that when we put a little prop together. And then who should we be cautious about? You called Komet last week. Do you like him this week? Curtis Samuel's a guy that had a decent week last week.
Curtis Samuel's sit. Komet sit. Curtis Samuel's going to be lining up against Snowman Jr. That's going to be a disadvantage against him. He should probably get shut down. Yeah, I think it's going to get funneled to McLaurin and Dotson as far as that goes, and really, I think the running back is the one with the best mismatch. So, But
Okay.
yeah, no Samuel, and then Komet on the other side. No, I think he gets shut down. I think that we've got DJ Moore. You're going to see it get funneled to one wide receiver, and we're saying DJ Moore. It's going to, whoever Forbes plays on, but we're saying that's going to be Moore.
Which seems to be kind of like the homework for anyone watching this is figure out who Forbes is covering. I don't know if that's possible during the game, but that's basically the biggest question I think coming out of this.
Yeah, that's the plus matchup.
All right, let's put a quick prop together. Look at that. We didn't know if we would fill 10 minutes. We're 30 minutes in, Snowman. So there are tons of info for you guys to make decisions on tonight's game, whether it's fantasy or betting. But let's put a little parlay together. McLaurin, the over, I think we both agree in receiving yards at 59.5.
DJ Moore seems like a trap,
and then
but
DJ Moore, I think you're right. It seems like a trap, but if you have Terry going over, it's not bad to have DJ Moore over necessarily, especially if you think Chicago is going to be chasing.
And it should be a plus matchup for him. It really should be a plus matchup for him. So, but I'm surprised by the Vegas number, and I always feel like they know something I don't know when it's like that.
Yeah. That's usually the case, isn't it? But hey, what did you say your name was back in the day? The bookie broker?
The Bookie Buster. The back in the Bookie Buster was a nickname I got, for about a year and a half down on the Merc floor, and that was just a start to me, doing this kind of stuff back in the 90s, I think, early 90s.
Well, we might have to bring it back. We'll see how this does. We might have to bring it back, Snowman. You might go from the Snowman to the Bookie Buster. So we've got DJ Moore over 52.5, Terry McLaurin over receiving yards. Do we want to just play like a game line, maybe tease it a bit? What do you think?
Yeah, if we could do the game, I definitely think Washington's winning. I think they should cover at least 5.5. If the game's at 6, then, I'm saying they cover 5.5 is what I've got.
For Washington.
Yeah.
So you would actually tease it down from the 6 to 5.5.
Well, no, I feel super confident in it. Like my gut, the stats say one thing, and then my gut is that looking at how the teams are coming into this and their psyche and what Chicago's going through and what Washington just went through, it all lines up for Washington to have a snapback game and to show people who they really are. And for I hate to say it, but for my Bears to show people who they really are right now, and that's a team that doesn't have a healthy offensive line and has no pass rush. And that's gonna affect, how this game goes. So yeah, I think that they're gonna probably get killed by the Commanders.
So would you tease it all the way to like a 9.5 or like a 7.5? What are you thinking?
I hate to play with the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. The numbers just say the line.
Yeah, we're doing it for fun. And guys, don't go putting your house on this parlay or anything. This is just for fun, guys. Just
I would say if I were a gambling person, yeah, I would say that Washington probably was going to make a good show, and that we were going to see what that team was, and that they're which is a Super Bowl contender, a contender for that division. So yes, tease it if you want. Hey, I'm not going to lose any money. Go ahead, tease it all the way up.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tease it up to 7.5. I'll give it a 8-point difference there, just to kind of go in between. And that puts us at a plus 650. Little something on the game. Makes it fun.
That was my old ratio. It used to be back in the day. The odds used to be 6-1 on parlays, and they've brought them all the way down now, like 2.5, 3.5. But
those are no fun. Come on, those are no fun, man.
Well, now you gotta tease it. Now you gotta know. It's too bad you can't tease the yards on DJ Moore. Can you tease that all the way up? Because we're saying
I believe you actually can. I think you can.
Because we're saying that it's between 92 and 125.
So DJ Moore alternate yards. So you can go all the way to over 120.
Well, can we? What happens if you take it up to, let's say, 110?
So 110 would give you 8 plus 850. That's
Okay. So what the stats are saying is that it's between 92 and 125. So if we tease it up to that, now, I mean, we're bucking Vegas, but then maybe everybody's looking at Vegas's line and thinking the same thing we're doing. It's a trap, right?
is your trap again.
And then we're because I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
We took him at the 52. What was it? 52 and a half or something like that. 50.
Oh yeah. But his average is 75.
Like 70. No, I know. And then you put up the fact that, So
and then he's got a mismatch, and he's a guy who has the breakaway threat, right? So he's got that upside. I mean, if you want to tease, if you're asking me what this says to me, that would be the way I would tease something.
All right, there you go. Let's end with that. Like we said, guys, no financial advice. We're just getting you guys ready for tonight's game. Hopefully you got a lot of value of this. Let us know in the comments. Usually we do a live stream. Our schedules this week didn't work out to get a live stream, and we love when you guys join us live and drop your questions, but make sure you drop them in the comments. Anything you like or don't like. We love hearing your feedback. And good luck tonight, man. Good luck tonight. Good luck this weekend. And we're back next week on Tuesday, Player Profiler, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll be rolling a Thursday tailgate for sure. Harry, man, this has been a blast. And appreciate you jumping on, dropping your knowledge, your goatness.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, sir, for having me. Grateful, and as can be.
No, this was great. Hopefully it helped everyone out. And good luck tonight, guys. Enjoy the game. We'll check you all later.
Goat District, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text. That trash offer's the best. You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
I never told you about my trade, man. I got to tell you about my big trade. This was a bomb today. So this is Super Flex Tight End Premium, one of the GOAT leagues, the UPL Ultimate Premium League. I sent Joe Burrow, Christian McCaffrey, fresh off of a 50-point game, T. Higgins, Zach Ertz, and Dalton Schultz for Patrick Mahomes, Kyle Pitts, Romeo Doubs, and a 2025 first. Reno mode. I'm in Reno mode. I'm not competing this year.
I like it because, Pitts is going to take time. I think he's going to take more than a year.
He's 22, man. And look at the offense he's in. Like, I just feel like he might be I'm not, you guys know from listening to this show, not a big, Pitts coming out, but I feel like right now he's a value, I think, in Dynasty.
I think he's a value. I just think he got a little time to sit on him. I think that if you look at Atlanta, they're so close. The problem with Atlanta is they don't really have a passing game to come back from a deficit. Mm-hmm. So when they get put behind, they're still doing the same things. They're just a quarterback away. Exactly. You put a Stroud on that team, and they're scary for the next 5 years. All of a sudden, Stroud's the next coming of Burrow.
Exactly.
And so, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer for a tight end. They got to get their tight end butt. They're blockers too, and even the ones that are receivers have to be bigger and thicker to take on the linebackers and stuff. And I think he's still built more like, a bigger wide receiver than he is a thicker tight end.
Kind of like an Evan Ingram, no?
But
Ingram was kind of like that.
Yeah, but it took time for Ingram too.
Oh, for
right?
sure. Yeah, for sure.
I remember in the beginning they just threw him out there and he got crushed. He was just too small. He was
hardest position, right? It's hardest position in offensively in football, as they say. So you got to give these guys time, man, and that's why I never jump on them as rookies, right?
Yeah. Unless they simplify things.
Except for Laporta, unless it's Laporta.
Well, but they're only using him as a wide receiver, and the only reason he's getting so open is because Justin Jefferson's there. I mean, if take Justin Jefferson off the field, and what? I mean, all of a sudden it's not gonna be the same. Addison established himself right off the bat as a threat. So now he's third in the pecking. Oh wait, what am I thinking of? Yeah. I'm getting everybody confused. I'm getting Hawkinson.
Yeah.
He's second in the pecking order. It's Amon-Ra, right? Has established himself.
Well, now Jameson coming back, who knows where that fits in, but
yeah, but no, he's been good. Laporta's been really good. He's actually been, getting himself open. And
for rookie tight end, he's been good. I like the fact that they're using him.
Yeah, well, he's getting himself open. I mean, he's the second best receiver out there. I'll be the first one to admit I missed on Laporta. I saw a lot of what he's doing. I saw in Kincaid. But at this level, he's doing a really good job of getting off of coverage, putting in space between him and the guy who's covering him. But you don't see that, and you just don't. And it's hard to hit on that stuff. I mean, even when you're looking at the college film, and I'm literally thinking about Laporta's film right now. Like, he didn't look like that. I mean, he looked like a tackle magnet. Honestly, he would just lug guys with him, and I was like, all right, he's got good hands, but it looked like, once he got the ball, they'd say, oh, look at all the tackles he broke. It was because it'd be like 4 guys hanging on him and he'd run 3 more yards,
Yeah, it could also be the talent he's surrounded by, right? He's got more talent probably surrounding him right now, so the defense has to kind of
and maybe that experience helped him too, because now somebody jumps on him, he's just got to break 1 tackle. He's used to 4 guys jumping on him.
Yeah, true. All right, cool. Thought I'd run it by you, but
I like the trade. I always like the trade. Hey, look, Mahomes. I mean, look, what do you're done. You're done. You're done with 1 position. 1 spot's done. Don't ever have to think about that again for the next.
And as much as I love Burrow and T. Higgins, like T. Higgins is one of my favorite receivers, but Burrow really worries me right now. Like I still have on that team, but Burrow worries me, man. So I've been unloading like some T. Higgins. I sent JT and T for DK Metcalf, a first and a second. I'm nervous right now with.
Look, I'm worried about T since he killed a man on the field. That psychologically, that he left that field immediately, and I don't think he's ever been the same receiver since. I watch him; it's not the same. He was a dog. He was ferocious. He was, he would. That's
what I liked about him. That's why I loved. Why he was like a tight end almost.
Right, and he just put shoulder into people. He knew how to use his body. He's just soft. He's not all there. I don't know if that's coming back. He hasn't been there since he killed that guy, and I'm just telling you, that's got to be doing a number on his head. It's a game.
Right. I think you're right. I didn't even think of that. You're probably right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just and nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about the kid. Nobody talks about T, who was the guy who actually killed him, and how he's got to feel knowing the next time he puts his shoulder into somebody, maybe if he does it the same way as this time, the guy's going to stay down. T's a good guy. He doesn't want to kill anybody. This is affecting him. I remember in sports when I watched playing soccer, watched Howie Fingerman break this kid's leg, kick the ball right through his leg. Never wanted to play soccer again after that. I was just like, I don't know with T and with Burrow, this calf injury. I listened to Dan. A precursor to potentially getting some kind of a torn Achilles.
Yeah.
All right. How can that not scare you? We just watched fucking Aaron Rodgers, calf
and you're
flap
talking
like a
about two
fish.
guys that were going in the top four rounds. You know what I mean? Top 4 or 5 rounds of drafts. So it's not like these guys were cheap.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm really just glad with our team, and we gotta get Burrow. We gotta get Andrews off the bench this week. By the way,
I was busy that night, man. I would have plugged him in for sure. I would have pulled the Musgrave.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
Everybody makes mistakes.
I thought I just outsmarted myself. I was looking at the books, and in the end, you gotta apply the averages to that. You can't just go, and it wasn't a mistake to play Komet. It was a mistake to pull Andrews. I didn't pull somebody out.
Like the show said, you got to play your studs. You got to play